It looks like Bosma is back at it again with yet another stylish security camera to add to its XC and X1 cameras. This time though, the company's aiming to bring a little bit of the upscale to their security camera lines with its new EX Pro outdoor security camera. So what is this new outdoor security camera all about and what makes it unique? Those are the questions we're here to answer today. Join me, Matt Hall, with the Make Use of Product Reviews team as we take a candid look at the Bosma EX Pro outdoor security camera. So this is the EX Pro outdoor security camera, and this guy actually won an IF, or an International Forum Design Award, for 2021. If you're not familiar with the IF Design Award, it basically indicates that this camera was selected for its design elegance. Now looking at the camera, I'm sure you can see why. It's classy, right? To me, I think it looks like a super expensive camera, but not so. Bosma has stated that the company wants to release this security camera at the $149 price point. And with all the features packed in here, that seems like an absolute steal. Okay, so first, let's just go over what's in the box. With the EX Pro, you're gonna get the camera itself, you'll get the instruction manual, the power cable, which is a USB-C cable. You're also gonna get a drill bit, you'll get 15 cable clips, 17 wall anchors, and 17 screws. There's also an installation sticker, but I used that when I installed the camera, and it got a little mangled, so I'm not going to waste your time trying to show you that. Speaking of installation, so to install this little guy, you'll just put the sticker up on the wall and you drill a couple of holes. The base here comes loose, and you just screw this part into the wall using the supplied screws and the supplied anchors. Then you click the camera into place and you plug it in at the top here. Moving on. What are some of the most important features of the EX Pro? Well, there are three standout features here that are important to mention right off the bat: auto tracking, anti-theft, and person detection. The auto tracking will actually follow movement if the camera picks up a person in its field of view. That means if you have someone creeping outside your house, this camera's not going to let them out of its sight. It's cool to know that if someone were to think about breaking in or stealing a package, that the motion of the camera alone might be enough to make them think twice. So anti-theft is the next feature here I want to talk about, and it is pretty snazzy as well. So let's say that same person who wants to break in isn't creeped out by the movement of the camera, and they think, oh, I'll just climb on up and steal that security camera. Not with anti-theft. They may make it up to the camera, but as soon as this guy is unplugged, it starts screaming at you. Bosma says that the siren on here is 110 decibels, and during my testing I found it was close. But it wasn't quite at 110. It was more like 92 or 93 decibels. If you want to adjust the volume, you can also do so in the app to make it as loud or as quiet as you want. Next on the list is person detection, and that does exactly what it sounds like. It detects people. But not just people in general. You can actually assign an AI profile to certain people. Once you set up that profile, the Bosma EX Pro will actually identify who is at the door. So one thing we haven't gotten into yet is the resolution. Now the resolution on the Bosma EX Pro is 2304 by 1296, and it has a full 128 degree field of view with 180 degrees of pan and 45 degrees of tilt. The 3 megapixel camera offers around 44% higher resolution than your standard 1080p camera. And though some of the finer details aren't all there, it does capture enough detail to easily make out faces and clothing. Now the EX Pro also has a color night vision mode that will allow you to see images in full color even at night. I think that's a pretty cool feature. We have a very large green tree right outside of my house, and when you look at the night footage, that green just pops. I think image is certainly one of the strongest parts of this camera. It's really great, and I think that Bosma did a fantastic job here. Like a lot of the other cameras on the market, you also get two-way audio with the EX Pro.
This is an audio test for the Bosma EX Pro camera.
I will say here that there is a pretty sizable delay in this feature. I don't know if that's my internet or if there's something else going on, but I don't really see myself using the two-way audio feature just because of the delay. The EX Pro also offers feature support for both If This Then That and Amazon Alexa, so you can set up automations and trigger them using events if you'd like. Now that's not the last feature this camera offers. If you're curious and you want to read about every feature, then you can do so by heading over to makeuseof.com and checking out our full review. Oh, and while we're here, if you're finding this video useful, then click on that thumbs up button. Now let's talk a little bit about the Bosma app. I'm going to put some recordings up on the screen here so you can see what sort of features you're dealing with just within the app. Now there are a ton of settings and adjustments in the Bosma app for things like face recognition, event detection, image orientation. So if you need to mount the camera upside down or at a weird angle, and you can even adjust the way your image looks. Things like sharpness and brightness are all available in the app. I'm not gonna go over all of these features because then this video would be 2 hours long, and I know you don't have that kind of time. Just know that Bosma put a lot of work and effort into this app, and it shows. With the app, if you want to record videos, you will either have to set the camera up to do so on a specific event like motion, or you'll have to manually open the app and hit the record button. Once you record a little footage, then the camera will automatically save the recorded parts to your camera roll. The only issues that I had when I was using the app were some regular disconnects. Again, I'm not sure if this is the gigabit internet that I pay for being temperamental, or if there were other issues with the wireless connection to the camera. To fix these disconnects, I did have to close the app and then reopen it a couple of times. I only mention this because it happened frequently enough to drive me a little crazy, but it wasn't every time. And both the app and the camera are still in pre-release status, so there's gonna be some bugs. The last thing you should know about the Bosma app is that in order to unlock all of the features of the EX Pro, you are going to need to pay for a Bosma Assist subscription. So, along with every other subscription you already have, and if you're anything like me, you probably have too many, you can tack on between $19 and $69 per year. The first 6 months of this service were offered to us for free during testing, but it's still a subscription and you still have to pay for it. So now that we've gotten to test this camera for a few weeks, what do we love? I think that the EX Pro is a step in the right direction for Bosma. It's got a lot of the top of the line features at a price point that is quite a bit lower than some of the competition. It looks classy and upscale, but the price is within reach for most smart home owners. I also think that the picture on this camera is magnificent. It's extremely detailed, and it looks like a security camera should look in 2021. You can forget that grainy footage from the 80s. This camera gives you a stellar image. The color night vision is also well done, though I think that might only be useful in certain situations. Finally, auto tracking is my favorite feature here. It's not going to stop every porch pirate out there, but there has been empirical evidence that people are better behaved when they know they're being watched. The auto tracking on this camera certainly gives that impression, and for me, it's the best feature overall. So what's not to love here? I think the biggest gripe I have is the subscription costs. Of course, you don't have to pay, and you can still use this camera for your home, but to get the most out of it, you'll need to purchase the Bosma subscription. Second on the list is the lack of 5 GHz network support. Now I think 5 GHz network support is becoming more and more popular in a lot of the smart home products that I review. So to see a product that doesn't support it is a little bit disappointing. I think more robust network support would be a significant improvement here. Next is the misreported siren level. Now I did not get 110 decibels out of this unit. Even with my decibel meter up next to the camera, the maximum I achieved was around 92.6 decibels. Finally, there's the issue of the cable. The cable on this unit is roughly 10.5 feet based on my measurements. That's not a long cable for a unit that's going to be stationed outdoors. And that's not to mention the connector on the cable is easily detached from the plug. So while someone might not steal your camera, they could easily steal the plug end if you've attached it to an outdoor outlet. So now it's time for the big question. Should you buy the EX Pro by Bosma? As I said before, I think the EX Pro is a step in the right direction for Bosma. The camera has lovely image quality and the design of the unit is very aesthetically pleasing. It's easy to see why this camera won a design award. Its overall look and feel is exceptionally classy. But if you don't have a solid wireless signal or your mounting location isn't within 10 feet of an outlet, then you may have to skip this one. Additionally, if you don't jive with subscription services, then the EX Pro is probably not going to be for you. On the other hand, it's a very capable unit that packs a ton of value into its $149 price point. That about wraps up our review of the Bosma EX Pro, but I want to hear from you. So what do you think of this outdoor security camera? Leave me a comment below and let me know. And if you'd like to start a conversation, hit me up over on Twitter or come find me on Instagram. For MakeUseOf.com, I'm Matt Hall. I appreciate you hanging out with me today, and we will see you next time.